That we're going to speak about music as a therapy. So we have a music therapist, Stephen Phillip, with us in the studios. So good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us in the studios today. And first and foremost, music therapist. Tell us more about it.
Well, lots of people ask me about music therapy, and they have the impression that it's somebody singing or taking an instrument and calming people down. That could be a part of it. I would say that, to put it simply, music is a stimuli which activates every part of the brain. And that has a lot of implications in how it can be used. It can be used a lot more than just calming people down. It helps us to meet individual goals and communal goals, and so it's become a very popular form of medication or alternative medication in many parts of human development.
When you talk about say music therapy, so obviously what we have heard is say there are various kinds of exercise, like for example yoga and stuff like that, where music is connected to that. So is it something similar to this what you do, or is it something totally different on it?
Yes, you could use music, for example, in yoga, in meditation. That would be working with people who have, maybe if I would work with somebody who has a psychological need, that would be a part of it. But if you want to also take the wider medical field, it includes disabilities, for example, in Parkinson's or people with cerebral palsy, cancer, in cardiovascular, neurosurgery, all of that music has a part to play.
Interesting, and we can get into more details of that. But before that, how did you pick this as your profession? When did this happen?
Music therapy?
Mm-hmm.
I've been a lover of music, and I used to play an instrument from the time I was a teenager. I had a lot of friends who were musical, but as time went on, I found that I was a very shy and kind of an awkward performer. I got stuck when I would play in front. I'm kind of the equivalent of somebody singing in the shower, but a musician who plays very well when I'm alone and nobody's watching me. But if people are around me watching, and if I don't know them very well, I tend to get stuck and I feel awkward. So probably that frustration intuitively pushed me to find other ways to use music. And yeah.
You did mention about say diseases like Parkinson and stuff like that. So does your musical therapy genres differ from individual to individual? Is it the
Yes.
music that you use towards
Yes.
giving
So
them
that would, for example, if you take somebody with Parkinson who has trouble with walking or coordinating their movement, the music has to be chosen in a way that would help that person to walk according to a rhythm. So music with a strong rhythmic background then helps them to learn to walk again, and that gives them a motivation to walk to a beat.
It's interesting, and well, it's not easy picking music and kind of working with different patients.
Yes, you have to take a lot of time into assessing what the patient's tastes are. I could tell you a great story actually. In the hospital, I was working with a patient who was in a coma, and so as is the case, I had to. She was in a coma, and I had to ask her husband what is the music that she enjoys. So the husband said, he gave me a piece of music, and it was a very strong rhythmic type of music. So I played that for her, and in the first 2 minutes, even in her stage of comatose, she smiled, and she seemed to really enjoy it. But as you know, music sometimes can go two ways. The same song can have great memories and also bad memories attached to it. So I played the song once and she smiled, and I got encouraged and thought she's really enjoying this, and I thought, okay, I'll play it again. And the second time I played the song, her BP, her blood pressure, which was at 120, shot to about 160. And in her stage of comatose, that music was triggering a bad memory, and she was getting really
worked up.
And the positive side was that she did respond and wake up a little, but not the best way to do it. Yeah, so music is very powerful in that sense.
So it really brings you a challenge on the music that you pick, especially with
it has to be very specific.
Very specific.
And
like,
to do that,
if you say, like, say, it brings back a bad memory to that person, obviously, then you need to restructure the therapy.
That's right.
And to do that, you should be also well versed with the music, and you should be aware of all the genres as well.
I cannot necessarily select the type of music that I prefer.
So what did you grow up listening to?
I grew up listening to my mother, going through her day listening to, I think at that time, Sri Lanka's only radio station, SLBC, and the music that used to play on that. So that plays a big part in what I enjoy.
Right. And you're also involved in some projects. Can you enlighten us about them?
Yes, at the moment I live in the Himalayas, and communal music therapy is a big part of my work there in the form of drum circles, which I do in villages where people get together and play drums. It's a nice experience.
Okay, and do we have a video lined up as well?
Yeah, yes, we do. Yeah.
Let's have a look at that. Right. So, what does this do?
So you can see here it's a form of non-verbal communication, and it's while it's highly enjoyable and great fun, the children are also learning to increase their attention span and follow my body cues and play together as a group.
And how do you do this? Do you pick schools, or do you just randomly get kids and ask them to
It's
surround
very
you?
informal there because of the remoteness, so I generally turn up at a village, speak to the head of the village, and make friendships and then go in there.
And
why the Himalayas?
The Himalayas, I prefer rural over urban life, so I like that.
And the instruments that these children are using, there are some are like, say, not the professional type of drums that they're using. Is it just
Those
various things that they picked up?
Those are things which I take and go when I go to the village. Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of action involved there.
Yes, they're following my body basically.
Right. So what does this do to their memory, or does this improve their concentration?
Yes, concentration,
Right.
attention span. In a very fun way, they are able to focus and increase the ability to focus and concentrate.
So the watching the video, is that we see that, like, so the movements that you make is the time that they increase the drum beats and stuff like that?
Yes, the intensity of my foot or my hand gives them a cue whether they should be playing hard or soft.
Right. So you're down in Sri Lanka from the Himalayas. So what are you hoping to do in Sri Lanka?
In Sri Lanka at the moment, this project in the Himalayas is going on for a year. So I'm hoping to raise funds for the second phase of the project.
Right. So you said that the project is going on for a year. So how has it been? Like, how's the response been so far?
Well, in a rural setting where the parents have a lot of pressure to educate their children, art and music generally comes off as a very sweet pastime. That's it. I mean, it's difficult for them to see art and music as helping children to also meet their goals. That said, my work of using music in also educational settings in that particular area has helped parents to have some awareness and appreciation that music is a lot more than just maybe children banging their heads to music which the parents don't always enjoy.
All right, Surya, we're going to take a look at another clip about community music therapy.
Okay.
I'd like to hold it in my arms and keep it company. I'd like to see the world for once all standing hand in hand and hear them echo through
I've got a sound beautiful. Sundika.
Well, going through that earlier clip with a differently able child, like say, how do you pick the type of music that you want to like? This is what I need to communicate. This type of music would be the proper music to communicate with her. Like say, does it come from your heart? Think, okay, this might work. Or how does it?
Yeah, there's a bit of intuition.
Yeah.
In this case, that child's name is Deepak, and he is quite a severe case of cerebral palsy. He cannot use all four of his limbs, that is his hands and his legs, and also his speech is affected. I'm using music with him to prevent his muscles from further stiffening up. So what happens is when I play those rhythms, and if you looked at the video, the motor system in our body has an ability to match with rhythmic patterns that come from outside. That's why we tap our feet or snap our fingers to music that we enjoy. That is what Deepak is doing. So he is moving his hands and his feet, and he's trying to make the sounds that he can based on the rhythm that I am playing, and that helps his muscles to at least not stiffen up further.
And as we did see, that video was pretty emotional as well. So how long do you spend with one of your clients, your patients?
Again, that is depending on the individual. With Deepak, I cannot or I should not be spending more than 20 to 30 minutes because he has the tendency to enjoy too much and get too activated and it's very difficult to bring him down. So, yeah.
Well, quite interesting. I think we're going to take a look at some pictures also on what you've done, and then we can most probably talk on those things as well.
These are a few slides, so these are the projects you've been working on.
Yeah.
If you could tell us about each picture.
So apart from drum circles providing a very enjoyable form of social interaction, music here also serves as a way of bringing the entire community together and having people from different parts of the community participate in one setting. So normal society structures are also challenged. People come together, they play together, for example, the roles of men and women, which are generally strongly distinguished in that setting, they kind of come to an equal level through music.
Well, so one interesting, watching your videos and watching your photos, what I figured out is like, say, I know it's a real challenge to communicate to these people because you're using very little words in communicating to them. So how hard is, like, say, to get them involved into this, like to listen to music and go through the process of, like, say, enjoying it, and because obviously they cannot speak out on what they're doing.
Yeah, I myself am probably not a great communicator with words, so I find it easy to communicate through my body and through the arts and through music. And I've found that, for example, standing in the middle of a drum circle in the middle of a village, dancing around, looking a little silly sometimes, people tend to actually enjoy that. I'm not trying to entertain them or look like a clown, but people do relate to that, and that tends to open up a sense of response beyond what words can normally do.
And we also have a clip lined up which involves a lot of different disabled people.
Okay.
So let's have a look at this.
Hello, how are you? I am fine, thank you. Hello, how are you? I am fine, thank you. One more time. Very, very good. Hello, how are you? I am fine, thank you. Wow. You're doing very good. Your hands have got very good and strong, Pavitra. Okay, I am Hello. How are you? I
Another thing that I really noticed going through all this is you need to have a lot of patience to do this. So how do you like say build yourself to do it? Like, so obviously, do you go through any particular exercises or any thing that you do to come
Music,
into
is
that?
it?
Is it music again?
I think I just love my work, so I don't think of it as patience. I enjoy it.
And what about extending it to Sri Lanka as well?
Yes, people ask me that. That's the question I get a lot when I come here. I'm really happy coming down. There seems to be an explosion in the awareness of how therapies can help in health. And I do hope at some point that I can come back and work with therapists alongside them here.
How has the response been so far with the people in Himalaya? Like, say, you've been there now, you said, for about a year. So, like, say, so for people to come in to go through this therapy.
In the Himalayas, as I said, it's a rural setting, so people would not naturally come to me knowing that I could help, because they don't see the connection that music could do that. It's more a matter of me identifying people, especially disabled children, and then building a friendship with the parents. Because in that setting, if you have a disabled child, it's a stigma. The children are usually hidden, and maybe you are even cursed of God. That is the understanding. So for parents to even open up their homes for someone like me to come in means that the whole community is going to see, and okay, now your child is brought out into the pub. There's some awareness of that happening. That can be humiliating for them. So the way I approach that in the Himalayas has to be very sensitive.
Exactly. And Phil, are you working on your own, or do you have anybody else who's helping you on this project?
Yes, I have a great group of friends from the village who are interested in what I do, and they've been a huge support.
And well, finally, we would also like to talk about the Surya Village project, the event.
Yep. It's going to happen on the 25th of June, that is on Sunday, from 6:45 till about 8:45. It will not just be me, thankfully. There will be drama therapy.
When you say 6:45, is it in the evening hours or is it in the morning?
Yes, not like the Rise and Shine show. 6:45 in the evening, going on till 8:45, and so there will be drama therapy. There will be sing-alongs. There will be. It's basically people will be allowed to experience how the arts work in health, and of course there will be some communal music therapy activities as well.
Right. So, are you active on social media, and do you promote
Yes.
this on social media?
There is a Facebook page. The event is called Dhol Ghol. It's a Hindi Sanskrit term, but I think most people in Sinhalese will understand. Dhol is drum, DHOL, and Ghol is the goal or the circle. So Dhol Ghol, you can find that on Facebook.
So apart from that, like say, if some people want to get in touch with you, is there another Facebook page that you have, like where they can, or YouTube channel that they can? Get
There's a
in touch?
YouTube channel, Stephen Philip, so they can see my work on that channel.
Right, and they can also get in touch with you.
Yes.
Is that so?
Yes.
Right. Thank you so much, Stephen, for being a part of the show. We would like to wish you all the very best with the event and your project as well. You have a second phase for the Himalayas project.
Yes.
So wish you all the very best. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And it's time for us to say
Bye-byes for Tuesday's edition of Rise and Shine. Hope you enjoyed the show as both of us enjoyed presenting you. We're getting off with Flying